Welcome to part 2 of Appendix WEF4 form as part of your UK spouse visa application. I have mentioned how to complete WEF4 in my first part in Urdu language, but now I'm just going to explain that in English language, right? So we are going to cover in today's video how to complete WEF4 as part of your UK spouse visa application, but this is for those who want to claim exemption from meeting financial requirements, but still they will need to show their maintenance requirement. Make sure you complete section 4 of this form whilst completing your whole form. But if you are claiming financial exemptions from meeting the financial requirement, then you are going to skip your section 3 of this WEF4 form, and then you will be completing section 4 of this form. So there will be also section of accommodations, and you will also complete a section of a relationship between applicant and sponsor. So let's get started. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so this is your WEF4 form, and this is page number 1. So in page number 1, what you are going to do is first section, on what basis you are going to the United Kingdom. So you are actually, even if you are sponsor, but you are submitting this, you are completing this application on behalf of the applicant. So this language must be written in applicant's language. And if you have a PDF installed in your computer or device, then you can add it into the PDF without printing it out. But if you do not have that facility, then you are going to print out and complete that with your pencil. Part 1 is going to be your relationship, and in your relationship you are going to say whether you're applying as a spouse, and then in the next page they ask, have you met your sponsor? Tell them when have you met, where did you meet, when did your relationship begin. Sometimes people meet before the marriage. Then in this situation, if there was any engagement, and since when you know each other, you are going to mention here exact dates, and make sure you remember the dates actually afterwards, because if they interview you, if they choose to interview you, then you must remember these dates. This is very important, because I have applied for one of my clients, and UK border agencies, they have arranged interview not only for the sponsor but also for the applicant. So sometimes they can choose to interview both of you, and therefore it's very important to take photocopies and remember all the dates you mention on this form. So 1.9 says, are you seeking permission to come to the UK as a fiancé? Obviously this WEF form is general for everybody, but in today's show we are going to mention for those people who are claiming exemption, who are either on PIP, carers allowance, disability allowances, and they do not have to meet any financial requirement. So let's move on to the next section. Are you married with your sponsor? When and where did you marry? So just mention all those details. What was the age? Was it an arranged marriage? Are you and your sponsor related outside the marriage? For example, if you are cousin, then you have to mention and give your details. Go on to the next section. Provide details how long you've been in a relationship. So do you intend to live with your sponsor permanently? Obviously yes, otherwise your application is going to be refused. Have you lived with your sponsor in a relationship akin to marriage? Which means if you are not married if you are not married on any type of custom, and you have been married before, and now this person, you want to call this person as your partner, you have been living together, or you have been living you have been in this relationship for more than 2 years, then you are going to click onto this and you are going to give reason. Have your sponsor previously been married? Just give your details if you have been previously been married or you have been divorced. Then all the details, including your former partner, date of birth, name, nationality, date of marriage, place of marriage, date of divorce. All the details you have to mention in here for applicant as well as for sponsor. So make sure you just pay attention which section belongs to sponsor and which section belongs to the applicant. What languages do you speak well? What languages does your sponsor speak well? What language do you and your sponsor use to communicate with each other? So all these answer you need to mention in here. Do you and your sponsor have any shared financial responsibility? Which means if the applicant is sharing any financial responsibility, you need to mention in here. But if you are not sharing, you don't have to mention. Do you have any physical or mental condition? Okay, so just forget the voices you are hearing, because right now I'm sitting at my home and recording it for you, so you will hear many voices in the background. Okay, do you and your sponsor have any physical or mental condition? So if your sponsor, for example, who is living or if yourself applicant or sponsor who is living in the United Kingdom have any physical or mental condition, you need to mention them, because this may be helpful and useful in your application if you explain them fully, and just tell them which personal care and which medical assistance your sponsor will need from you. It must be compatible with the GP report and GP record. Does your sponsor have any children? Tell them if they have any children and they are financially dependent. If they are not financially dependent, they've gone away, they've gone to university, they are independent now, then you may not need to complete this section. Okay, so well done. You have completed your part 1 of a WEF4 form appendix as part of your UK spouse visa application, and this WEF4 is for those people who are claiming exemption on the basis that their sponsor either they are receiving disability allowances or any PIP, which means personal independent payment, and they cannot work. Okay, let's move on to part 2. Before we move on to part 2, make sure that if you have any question, just to send me your particular question. You will see my personal contact number in description box, and you can receive further help. If you need any further help, you will receive that. Okay, in the meantime, actually I want you to do some exercise. Just go on to Google and download your form from there. You will see WEF4 as part of your UK spouse visa application. Okay, I have come back. Actually, so much noise was there, so I have closed the door. The second part is accommodation. So where do you and your sponsor plan to live in the United Kingdom? Does your sponsor own this property? So this is interesting question. People are confused. Sometimes they think our particular property will need to show. Let me tell you, whether you are renting, whether you are owning this property, whether you are living with your family and friends, you can use that property until this is not overcrowded, and this will not be overcrowded when your spouse will join you. And if your friends and family are supporting you and providing you this with this accommodation, then you will need to have a letter confirming that they will have no objection living at this property. Make sure you enclose the right documents. So next is, does your sponsor live in a council owned property? Is your sponsor in receipt of any housing benefit or council tax benefit? Just mention whatever is applicable on your situation. How many bedrooms are there? How many other rooms are there? How many people are living there? So you need to mention all people's residence, full name, age, relationship to sponsor, nationality, and passport number. Okay. Do you intend to work in the United Kingdom? Again, they are asking to the applicant. So applicant need to mention if you intend to work in the United Kingdom. If you have job offer letter from any company, and if you manage to receive any job offer letter from any company from the United Kingdom, then you are going to say yes on behalf of the applicant. Good. Part 2 is completed. Part 3 is in relation to financial requirement. As you are not you are claiming exemption from meeting financial requirement on the basis that your sponsor is receiving disability allowance or carers allowance or PIP. So which means when you click on to the box no, and then you are going to move on to the next section. Which means section 4. Okay, section 3 you don't have to complete. Okay, so part 4 means maintenance for those exempt from the financial requirement. Now, even if you are claiming financial exemption, still you will need to show maintenance. And how much is the maintenance? Maintenance is £114 for 2 people. As a couple, you will need to show £114 on top of your accommodation cost, on top of your accommodation requirement. Just only maintenance, which means just for living cost, food and maintenance, you will need to show £114 in your bank account. If you are not receiving that much allowances, then you will need to top it up by earning any other money from any other source of income, or you can ask DWP department to raise your allowances, or you can also claim universal credit on top of your disability allowance, because this is very important that you meet the right criteria. Okay, so next is what's your sponsor's national insurance number, what's the name of the company they work for. If they work for, then you need to mention all of the questions and answer. But if your sponsor is not working, only receiving, only meeting maintenance requirement from their universal credit as well as their allowances, then go on to 4.10. Okay, what does 4.10 says? Does your sponsor receive income from any other resources including friends and family? You will need to disclose all of the income your sponsor is receiving from all of the resources. Any amount actually above £3,000, I think you all know, may affect your universal credit, but any amount they have saved under £3,000, unless they've received it from any friends and family, there will not be any issue in terms of claiming universal credit. Okay, does your sponsor have any savings, property, other income? So just mention about your financial circumstances. So here you go. You have completed your WAF4 form as a part of your UK spouse visa application, and here is the guide. You will see guide for part 1. In the end of this form, you will see also the guidance notes that may be helpful in terms of all other question and answers which have not been covered in today's session, because today's session was in particular spouse visa for those who are claiming exemption from financial requirement. Now, sometimes people ask what if they want to claim exemption from English language requirement. So I say, if you submit your application as human rights, on the grounds of human rights, under section 6 of Human Rights Act, under section 8 of Human Rights Act, under section any other sections who covers your human rights, then you may be able to claim exemption. But again, this is particular advice. You will need to book a call and have an assessment whether or not you qualify to claim exemption from meeting English language requirement, because there are certain ways where you can claim English language exemptions, and you can apply under the human rights grounds basically. as well as you can claim financial exemptions. In these days, actually, applying visa is more than easier than ever due to pandemic of COVID-19. Government has facilitated so many people so that the family can be reunited, family can be united. So these are the things people think in these days it's difficult, it's tough to receive to get the visa, but to be honest, in these days it's easier to get the visa from government as long as your application is genuine. So all other requirements can be waived off as long as you provide the supporting evidence genuinely and credibly. So what do I mean by that, genuinely and credibly? Sometimes even if people enclose the right set of documents, but they don't look like right sets of documents, so it's important you always obtain the expert opinion on your matter. It saves your money, it saves your time, it saves you from going for appeal. So all these things are very, very important. So you need to make sure that you enclose your right documents. When you want to claim exemptions, you will have to have certain evidence to support your case. Unless until अगर आप अपनी evidence को proper तरीके से उसको basis बनाकर अपना application करते हैं, anything is possible because people जब अगर आप उसको प्रॉपर तरीके से नहीं करेंगे, even if you meet all the requirements, still you can get your refusal. So daily basis people are asking inquiries, oh, my visa is refused even if I enclosed all the documents. One of my clients, she enclosed all the documents, but her visa was still refused. She applied by herself, but she actually missed to enclose couple of the documents, or couple of them there were couple of the documents were missing. बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स जैसे लगाई, उसमें से कुछ शीट्स मिसिंग थी, या कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो है वो इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में नहीं थे, उसकी ट्रांसलेशन नहीं करवाई थी. तो ये बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं जो जिसकी बेसिस पे आपका वीज़ा रिफ्यूज़ हो जाता है, क्योंकि अपेंडिक्स FM और फिर 1.7 की फाइनेंशियल जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं उसके तहत इन तमाम चीज़ों का पूरा करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. सो आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन यू आर जस्ट, एंड वन मोर थिंग, व्हेन यू सबमिट योर एप्लीकेशन अंडर ह्यूमन राइट्स ग्राउंड्स, यू ऑल्सो सेव सो मच मनी फ्रॉम गवर्नमेंट, बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट की जो फ़ी है वो ओनली ह्यूमन राइट्स ग्राउंड्स पे जब आप जाएंगे ओवर अप्रॉक्सीमेटली £400 समथिंग, तो उसके लिए आपको जो £1,550 जो आपको वीज़ा फ़ी देनी पड़ती है वो आपको उसकी बजाय 400 समथिंग उसको देने पड़ते हैं, और एग्जम्पशंस भी आपको मिल जाती है. लेकिन उसके लिए सर्टन केस का होना ज़रूरी है जिसमें कंपेलिंग एंड कंपैशनेट सर्कमस्टांसिस हैं. अब वो सर्कमस्टांसिस हैं क्या, वो सिर्फ क्लाइंट्स की असेसमेंट के बाद ही समझ लग सकते हैं. सम टाइम जो स्पॉन्सर है वो यहाँ पर स्पॉन्सर अगर हैं, आदमी हैं, तो उनकी 2 शादियाँ हुई हैं, तो वो रिलेशनशिप की प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन बच्चे इन्वॉल्व हैं, तो उस सूरत हाल में उनके क्या बैकग्राउंड्स हैं, क्या क्या कॉम्प्लिकेशंस हैं, किस तरह से उनके जो कितनी वीज़ा एप्लीकेशन के रिफ्यूज़ल हैं, कौन से ग्राउंड्स पे हैं, तो सारी असेसमेंट करने के बाद फिर उनके कंक्लूजन, एवरी पर्सन हैज़ डिफरेंट बैकग्राउंड, तो उनका जो कंक्लूजन होता है देन उस कंक्लूजन की बेसिस पे उनके वो उसकी असेसमेंट में उसके समय लगती है कि ये ह्यूमन राइट्स का क्लेम बनता है या नहीं बनता. लेकिन जब बनता है ह्यूमन राइट्स का क्लेम तब उसके बहुत सारे फ़ायदे हैं, आपके पैसे बचते हैं, आपकी एग्जम्पशंस मिलती हैं, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज नहीं कर पाते उसकी एग्जम्पशंस मिलती हैं, आपने यहाँ पर बच्चों को चाइल्ड एक्सेस पे आना है उस कैटेगरी में फ़िट होते हैं एप्लीकेशन, आपने एज ए स्पाउस एज ए केयर ऑफ ब्रिटिश सिटीज़न आना है. लोग, अगर आपका एप्लीकेशन एक सोर्स पे कामयाब नहीं होता, अगर आपका एप्लीकेशन एज ए स्पाउस ऑफ ब्रिटिश सिटीजन नहीं होता, तो देयर मे बी अदर टाइप्स ऑफ एप्लीकेशन इन्वॉल्व इन योर केस. समटाइम केयर ऑफ ब्रिटिश सिटीज़न की एप्लीकेशन वैलिड होती है, समटाइम ह्यूमन राइट्स की एप्लीकेशन वैलिड होती है, समटाइम पेरेंट्स ऑफ ब्रिटिश चाइल्ड के एक्सेस के तौर पे अगर आपने आना है वो, समटाइम अगर आप एज ए केयरर आना चाह रहे हैं तब देर आर सो मैनी एप्लीकेशंस टू चूज़ फ्रॉम. It's not just only one application. People focus on just one application and they get refusal again and again because they do not apply the right application. They do not tell them the right circumstances. They do not convince entry clearance officer in a way कि वो कहें ठीक है जी इनको इनके ह्यूमन राइट्स ब्रीच होंगे. आपको अपना केस बनाना पड़ता है. जब आपका केस बन जाए then you have more chances of success in your application. I have achieved so much successful result just by putting the right documents and taking out irrelevant documents. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. समटाइम लोग समझते हैं बहुत सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स हम लगाएंगे उनको पता नहीं हम इम्प्रेस कर लेंगे, लेकिन वो चीज़ भी उनके खिलाफ जाती है, एप्लीकेंट्स के खिलाफ जाती है. जब बहुत सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स आप लगा रहे हैं, अंधाधुंध लगा रहे हैं और उसमें से बहुत सारी चीज़ें उनके खिलाफ निकल आती हैं, जा रही होती हैं, कंपैटिबल नहीं होती, और उसके बाद रिफ्यूज़ल आता है तो वो सर पकड़ के बैठ जाते हैं, ये रिफ्यूज़ल क्यों आ गया, ये तो हमने डॉक्यूमेंट्स प्रोवाइड किए थे. सो जस्ट गेट योर एक्सपर्ट ओपिनियन, जस्ट फाइंड आउट योर प्रोफेशनल एक्सपर्ट इन इमिग्रेशन एरिया एंड गेट द ओपिनियन. क्योंकि ख़ुद से आप वैसे एप्लीकेशन नहीं कर सकते जिस तरह से कोई एक्सपर्ट आपके लिए कर सकता है. सो आई होप यू लाइक दिस वीडियो. सब्सक्राइब दिस चैनल. इट्स मी बैरिस्टर शाजिया अंजुम and I have helped many people in achieving the result not only in application but also in appeals process. So all the best to your spouse visa application. Any further help, let me know. I have left my personal contact number. Schedule or book a free call to have an assessment. At least you will save so much stress and so much time as well. Okay, thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye.